What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Live Friday with Toss and Spin Tennis for our Week 1 French Open review. We have an amazing guest joining us. She is a former WTA player. She's also an All-American, four-time All-American, as well as a USTA high-performance coach. Please welcome in Claire Carter. As always, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section, and we're going to get started shortly. Hey, Claire.
Hey Chris, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, doing really well, thanks. Thanks so much for having me on. I'm
No,
excited.
thanks for joining Live Fridays. It's a pleasure to have you on it.
Yeah, thanks so much. I love what you're doing.
I appreciate it. And even before we get started and dive into all your insight on the French Open, which I'm really excited to hear about, I thought it'd be good for the people who are watching and the people that will see this, to tell us about your amazing background, because I think that's a huge part of the conversation.
Okay. Well, I started tennis at 8 years old. I grew up in England. My whole family is in England. I don't necessarily sound very English nowadays. I've lived in America for over
I
20
hear the
years, so
accent a little bit, so it's okay. It's still there.
it's a hybrid accent, but yeah. So I started at 8. We were on a holiday, family holiday, camping in Italy, and my dad bought some plastic rackets and a foam ball to kind of entertain us. And I just loved hitting this little ball in between the nets. And so when we got back home, I asked to play some tennis, and my family got me involved in a club, and I just progressed there. Really enjoyed it. Got a tennis coach, and had the same tennis coach from age 8 until 19. And yeah, so I played all my junior tennis in England, and played through the age groups there, and traveled a lot. So I was very lucky to be part of like the LTA rover scheme that they had then back in the day. And then we played internationally, traveled all over Europe, did a lot of the European tour, under 14, under 16, under 18, did the ITF circuit.
Yeah.
I got up, I think, as high as 150 in, excuse me, in juniors, and played for Great Britain. So I had a great junior career, and I got to a point where I had to decide, am I going to go pro? Excuse me, am I going to go pro? Or I had some friends that had gone to college, and I didn't know the difference between a community college and Stanford. It was this big system that I didn't know much about. So I competed a little bit for about a year, and then decided, I needed to get some more experience and improve my game. So yeah, I narrowed it down, and I went to University of Washington in Seattle. And one of the main reasons was, the coaches were fantastic. They had played, Patty Fendick and Jill Hetherington. They had played doubles together, and they had been #1 in the world as doubles team.
Wow.
And so my goal was to do that and turn pro afterwards. And Seattle, the weather didn't bother me. I came from England where it rained. So, so I had a great time in college, loved college, was part of a team that was growing. When I started, they were about 50 or 60 NCAA Division One. And my senior year, we finished #4. So I came in with 3 or 4 other girls, and we really helped grow the team, which was really cool. We had our first wins against USC, UCLA, a lot of the top Pac-10. Back then it was Pac-10, it's now Pac-12 conference. So that was a great experience. I still speak to a lot of the girls on the team. And then, yeah, I met my husband in college. So I loved college, but I was a little bit burnt out, but still, really enjoyed tennis and wanted to be involved and loved tennis. And I'd done some coaching up until that point. So then, yeah, we decided to move to the Bay Area. We got married, and I went to look at some clubs. And I've been at the same club since 2004 in the Bay Area. I actually, scratch that, I took 1 year. I went back to coach at University of Washington. and
Okay.
was there. The assistant coach ended up becoming the head coach, and she called me up and asked me to come, and it was too good to turn down. And I really enjoyed being a coach, seeing the other side of it.
Yeah.
But I wasn't able to be there for longer than a year. My husband's job, he was going to come back, and he got a good offer to stay. So I came back to the Bay Area and rejoined at my club. So yeah, I've been at the same club, Bay Club in the Bay Area, and I love it. Teach, 4 and 5 year olds all the way up to, adults, doubles, singles, cardio tennis. I do a little bit of everything. So yeah, I guess,
It's
that was my playing career. I did compete on the tour. I got up to around 500. And looking back, it would have been cool to kind of give it a little bit longer, see how far I could have gotten. But
yeah.
I think mentally, you've really got to be fully committed to the grind. And I think I was just ready to enjoy some of other life's pleasures, I think.
Yeah, no, I mean, and that's totally fair. That's totally fair. And I know you sent me over your bio and seeing that you were a four-time All-American. I mean, those
Oh
are
yeah.
huge, huge honors, right? I brag about, yeah, I played Division I college tennis, and you're an All-American. So obviously you have that experience, and it's nice to talk to you.
Can you still see me?
Um,
Oh, there we go. You're back
yeah,
now. Yeah, I
yeah,
always joke about all American. I'm an all American English woman. It always used to make me laugh, but it's a very, very special honor for sure.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. No, that's a good rundown, and more importantly, it's cool that you enjoy what you do and you enjoy teaching and educating others, because not everybody enjoys being on the court, but I feel like once you have a special intuition to do that, it's what you should be doing. And I enjoy being on the court, and same thing, teaching kids or adults and just seeing people get better, whether they're a beginner or a high level junior. It's all fun to me. It's almost like
Yeah.
a challenge to see if I can get them to the next level. So
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's very rewarding job. And I like the variety of teaching in a club. I've experienced other types of coaching, and I think for me, the club level is great. I like to do a little bit of everything. So yeah, we're very lucky doing what we do.
yeah. So transitioning over to, of course, the French Open. Um, I don't know. There's so many different things to talk about, but I'll focus it in on three big ideas. But as you look at the tournament and what's happened over the first week, like from your perspective on the men's and women's side, like what's some of the biggest surprises that you've seen?
Yeah. I mean, wow, it's been so fun to watch. First of all, going back to back from the US Open to the French, it's like every tennis fan's dream to just have that amount of TV to be able to watch. There've been a lot of surprises. For me, the women's side first, a lot of first round losses. I actually had to write them down because there were so many. And I think it's understandable coming from the US Open, other side of the world, completely different surface conditions, etc. So Madison Keys, she's number 12 seed, she lost first round.
Yep.
Kerber, number 18 seed, lost first round. Allison Risk, American, lost
Yep.
first round. Conta, the Brit, I was
Yep.
watching that against Coco.
Yep.
Tough draw, but Coco ended up losing that next round. And then Azarenka, she lost second round. Again, probably understandable. She'd just come from the US Open and had an amazing run. Not a lot of time to adjust to all these conditions.
Right.
And she had a good run at the Western and Southern right before that. So she's probably a little tired there. Jennifer Brady, sort of similar scenario, got to the semis of the US Open. I'm going to say huge shout out to college tennis there. That was like
No,
fantastic to follow that run.
absolutely.
We've seen a few on the men's side, but to have a female player, it'd been a while. I think Gigi Fernandez, they were talking about, was the last one like 20
Yeah.
plus years ago. So that was cool. So yeah, there were quite a few first round losses.
Yeah. And I think
Under
go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. Yeah,
No,
go
I was
ahead.
gonna say from my perspective, what really stood out and what you said One was Azarenka, and I think it's like this is any tennis fan's dream. I even told my wife, I was like, yeah, we're not done watching tennis for the year. You know, the French Open's coming up. So, I mean, I was very surprised to see Azarenka. I was sad. You know, I want Serena to win that, you know, to get that 24. So to see she's injured and her year is over and she's shutting it down, is that, you know, wasn't exciting. Another thing that really caught me off guard was, you know, Coco winning first round, but then turning around and losing and giving away almost 5+ games in double faults. That's something I'm trying to think back. You know, Maria Sharapova used to do that maybe 10 years ago, where she was double faulting like 10, 12, 14 times, but 19 double faults in a match. I guess on the flip side, at least she was still in it. However, you know, that's a lot to be given away. So I think she definitely needs to correct that. And I think she's young, she will, you know, but the fact that she didn't give up and still fought and still had a chance to win the match is something to be proud of.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, she's got, I think, a great team around her. Parents are super supportive. You know, she'll definitely just get out there on the practice court and make some adjustments to make it better.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And on the men's side.
The men's side, yeah. I mean, again, I made some notes because there were quite a few. I think the big one, Medvedev, maybe not such a surprise because he hasn't done well in the French, I don't think, has he? I mean, I think
No, I actually think he's lost the last couple years first round. So he's never.
Okay, so yeah.
Round.
That was it. Yeah. I mean, and again, he had a great run in the US Open, but I think for me it was a little bit more, you know, it's like a mental block for him almost. You know, I saw some highlights. I didn't see the first round match, but you know, he's like yelling to his coach and like, how do I win a point? And just very sort of negative. And I feel like sometimes that happens at Wimbledon because people aren't used to playing on the grass.
Yeah.
And I think you know, it's just surprising because he's such a good player, but I think he just really needs to have a game plan and be able to stick to it and execute. But I think he's definitely struggling, which is a shame. But yeah, other noticeable, Monfils, he lost first round, number 8 seed. I always like watching him, very entertaining. Goffin, number 11 seed, he lost first round. Korik, number 24. And then Dan Evans, Nishikori, tough first round, you know, but he was complaining a lot about conditions. And then, you know, Murray got that wild card, which I think is deserved, but tough round against Wawrinka. And I just finished watching his match. Wawrinka lost 6-love in the 5th. So, you know, there were a couple matchups there that shouldn't really have been first round matchups. But again, on the men's side as well, quite a few first round losses.
Yeah, and I think too, Monfils, that surprised me a little bit. But then, I mean, guys haven't been playing as much as they normally would. They don't have that match experience. So if they get down, it's kind of like deer in the headlights. I don't really know what to do. So it shouldn't surprise me as much as it does. The one that caught me off guard was Stevie Johnson losing, I think it was 6-0, 6-1, 6-1. And the last week I was talking with another guy on Live Friday, and I was saying I didn't understand how Sophia Keating could have lost 6-0, 6-0 to Victoria.
Love, yeah.
And then this week, my biggest rant is like Stevie Johnson, like you have a big serve,
I missed that one.
Forehand, your game should be primed for clay. I get losing, right? But not that bad. So I feel like guys maybe a little drained just with the year it's been, you know, doing everything they had to do just to get into the tournament. And now, you know, they're just running out of steam and kind of looking forward to 2021. But on the bright side, I do like Sebastian Korda. I like him.
Oh,
I like him.
He, you know, so fun that his dad competed on the tour, and he's
Peter Korda.
He's got 2 sisters that are excellent golfers as well. So very athletic family. And his sisters were, you know, doing really well in golf. I love golf as well, so I've kept track of that. So I've been rooting for him to do well. So it's nice to see he got through qualies, and now he's in the 4th round playing Nadal. So like a dream match for him. I just saw an interview actually that he was joking with his coaches that if he qualified and got to the 3rd round, then they were like by the River Seine and they had to swim across it. So after he won the match, he started swimming. So they had this inside joke with his coaches. So I think that really does spur players on, you know, setting challenges like that and then achieving it, I think just builds this awesome team spirit. So yeah, is he the last American in there on the men's side?
I
Possibly.
believe
Yeah,
so.
I'm not 100%. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think he's the sole hope. And I mean, you know, women's tennis for the US is very good in my opinion. And I think men's
Yeah.
tennis has some young stars that are bright, but you know, still looking at the majors on the men's side, it's been Andy Roddick. It's been 17 years ago since a male has won a major in the US. And that's one where I'm like, we have the resources, you know, we have the players, you know, I would love to see a Tiafo, you know, really step up, or you know, although Taylor Fritz lost today, you know, to me, he's promising. I think he's playing good. He almost had the breakthrough at the U.S. Open. He served against Shapovalov, and he couldn't have made it there. So I like his game, but just, you know, we had John Isner for so long, and it's been great, and Stevie Johnson, a lot of these guys, but, you know, I think they have a few more years left on tour, and I think that's going to be potentially it for them.
Yeah, and that changing of the guard is always interesting, isn't it? Yeah.
It is.
I mean, I think definitely there's
the first to step up. Yeah, absolutely.
Right. And I think that lost connection here. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I hear you.
Are you still there? You're there. I don't know if that's me or you. Yeah, that changing of the guard I think is difficult, but I feel like it just takes one player to kind of take it to the next level, and it really just energizes the group, you know. So yeah, hopefully one of them can do it. I'm definitely a big fan of Taylor Fritz for sure. And Tiafo, he lost first round. I was rooting for him as well. So yeah, there's still lots of tennis to be played.
Someone told me to go play the U.S. Open. They've denied my entry for the last 15 years. My ranking hasn't been high enough. I always say that. It was
Shout out to Alex Chan Tennis.
Yeah. And you mentioned Dan Evans, and that goes to my next subject, which is tennis balls. So some people know this, but I used to be the global product manager at Wilson, managing performance tennis balls, accessories, rackets, recreational rackets. So I get really excited when players talk about balls because, you know, that was my thing. I spent a lot of time actually on court with players testing. So from your perspective, I think Dan Evans said he wouldn't give the new U.S. Open or the new French Open Wilson ball to his dog. I actually thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah.
But, you know, my question to you, and just from your playing days, like how much of it do you think it's hey, we're playing in October in Paris and it's super cold versus, hey, the balls are super heavy?
Yeah. No, that's a great question. You know, I love Dan Evans. Being British, he's got such a good sense of humor. And I read an article about that, and I feel like he got a little bit of a tough rap there because I think he was talking a little bit about the balls getting stuck in puddles and underneath the top. But I mean, either way, you know, yeah. But I think, you know, Rafa commented on the balls, right, early on. Serena commented on the conditions. Yeah, I mean, I think it all plays a factor. I think ultimately, you know, the specs on the ball are probably virtually identical to what was it, Babolat that they had before, you know, as far as dimensions, weight is. So, I mean, I think for me, you can tell a difference with a tennis ball for sure. You know, if you playing with a head tennis ball, a Wilson tennis ball, a Treton, an altitude ball, yeah, the difference. And I think more specifically Nadal, you know, he's won 12 French Opens, you know, but he won it in June, and the conditions are very different. Warmer, drier, bouncier, you know, his top spin so heavy, it kicks up off the court. And I feel like now, you know, we're in October, it's cold, it's damp, it's temperatures probably in the 50s, you know, and I think that is probably a little bit more of a factor than the actual ball. You know, they had Dunlop balls, so you know it's not a surprise that they changed the tennis ball, but I think it was just, you know, one thing on top of the other. Probably, you know, you just start feeling these effects and it can become quite mental. you know, and we all
Absolutely.
know that Nadal likes things the way he likes them, you know, with his water
Yep.
bottles and his routines. So,
Absolutely.
you know, I think it's definitely a challenge for them with all these adjustments. And of course, you know, the whole environment is completely different than what they're used to. A lot of the players experienced no fans in the US Open, and they've got, I don't know, like 1,000 a day, I think, here, but everything's different. So, you know, the player that's going to come through on the sides is going to have to be very mentally tough.
Yeah, yeah. And I couldn't agree more. I mean, I think, you know, just from my experience, you're 100% right. The specs are, I mean, you build the spec based off of, you know, what was there the year before, right? So that's one thing. I think the weather and the conditions 100% make the conditions heavier. When people say, hey, the ball's playing heavy, you know, that's one thing. I think something, Nadal said something like that. And I'm like, no, it's probably
Yeah.
a lot of mental. I think the biggest thing, and you're spot on, I think it's the biggest thing for him is just a change. You know what I mean? And I was
Mm-hmm.
thinking if the US Open went from Wilson to Babolat or Dunlop, I guarantee it'd be a big problem because it's more about the change, not necessarily what the actual ball is. And, you know, from
Yeah.
the insights had done while I was at Wilson, the biggest thing that players want is just consistency. You know, traveling from
Mm-hmm.
one tournament to another tournament where you're playing Technifiber one day, then you're playing Dunlop, then you're playing Wilson. I think that's the biggest issue. So my
Yeah.
thinking was they would actually like the fact that they had, you know, back-to-back majors being played with the Wilson tennis ball.
Yeah.
Like it just mentally gives you that comfort. Yeah, we just played with this in New York. We're going to play with it at the French. So
Right.
I feel
Right.
like it's kind of died down now, and Nadal
Mm.
seems to be pretty quiet, and he seems now to be used to the conditions as well as the ball. So it'll be interesting to see, you know, who comes out on top, and do they blame the ball or not?
Yeah, yeah. I bet Wilson are rooting for Nadal to win,
Yeah,
so
I
that
mean, it'd be
that's
funny
not
because the
discussed.
guy who complained about the ball won the tournament. I mean, to me, that's like, and even if he doesn't, if he gets to the finals, I mean, he had a great run. So I mean,
Yeah.
he can't be that unhappy. I will say the conditions, like even watching on TV, it looks slow. It looks very slow. And now it's
Yeah.
picking up depending on when you're watching it. But the first couple of days, I was like, wow, it's hard to hit the
Yeah.
ball through the court.
Oh yeah. And you know, they're going out in like leggings and long sleeve t-shirts
Yeah,
and you know, yeah, it's cold, it's damp, you know, the length of the rallies are just getting longer. You've got to be very smart and mentally tough to like construct the point because you're not going to be hitting as many winners flying through the court as maybe they're used to on that clay.
absolutely, absolutely. So I got to know as we wrap up here, you know, men's and women's pick. Who are you going with to win the tournament?
Um, I think it is probably not going to be a surprise, but I think on the women's side, I think Halep, you know, is probably the favorite. You know, seeding wise, obviously, but she's come through some good matches the first couple rounds. She's looking very strong, um, and you know, I am a huge Serena fan, and I wanted her to get number 24. But
Yeah,
you know, it was going to be tough. But I would say Halep on the women's side is probably the favorite right now. And then obviously on the men's side, again, I'm a Roger fan, but at the French, I'm definitely rooting for Nadal. But I just feel like Djokovic is probably gonna take it. I feel like he's got some redemption that he's got, you know, to clear up after everything that happened in US Open, and
yeah,
he's just looking really, really good right now. Very solid, very fit. Mentally, he looks better. So yeah, I mean, I'd love to see those two in the final and see who takes it, but I'd probably go with Shin Halep. Yeah. How about you?
I'm 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 very similar to you. I think Halep, she's on a mission. She looks good. I saw she won 1-0 today, and I was just
Yeah,
like,
crushed
wow,
it.
like she's not looking like she's gonna let up at all. And everybody else, the other women, it just looks kind of up and down. It's like I play well today, tomorrow this person, you know, it's just too many variables. I feel
Hmm.
like Halep's the one who's like steady, and she's, you know,
Yeah,
that's who I put my money on to win.
yeah,
Um, I would go Novak this year to your points and all the reasons that you just said. I mean, I think he needs to redeem himself. he looks very comfortable out there. He just looks great. So I'd be surprised if someone can really, even Nadal, I think he's going to be able to take the ball early against Nadal. The conditions are slower. He's going to be able to put Nadal on the defense like, normally he wouldn't be able to if we were playing in May. So that's my, I'm going with Novak. I'm going with Halep. And who knows? Like, I mean, Nadal can still win. You never know. I mean, there's so many, even in the match you reference Wawrinka playing today, there's so many momentum shifts and changes that, I mean, realistically, you just don't know who may pull through. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, great minds think alike, huh?
Yeah. No, when you're all about tennis, that you do think alike. I will say it'd be nice to see a young guy break through, like a Sebastian Corda beat Nadal, like at the French. I mean, for what that could do for his career and confidence, I mean, he's full steam ahead, and I like his game. I like how he plays. I don't think he's ready to take that step, but I can honestly say if he did, I would root for him, and I'm still going to root for him all the way. And I remember when I was testing tennis balls with the WTA, this was 2 years ago at IMG, Sebastian Corda was there with his dad. And I had ironically met his dad maybe 10 years ago because his sister or his daughter was playing in a golf tournament in my college town. So he came to our country club and hit some balls.
Cool.
And I was telling him about that. And I met Sebastian, who was much smaller at the time, and I was like, "Wow, this kid! This is amazing. He's gonna be a rock star." And
you can tell when they're young.
Later, and he's very much like his dad from that perspective.
Yeah. I mean, you can tell with these players when they're younger. But you're right. I mean, I would love to see, the next generation. It was great to see Team win at the US Open. And as much as I love, the big players on the men's side, the women's side's got a little bit more variety. It would be so fun to see somebody new win the tournament. But either way, I think I'm just excited to watch lots of tennis.
Yeah, I'll take it. Because there may be one other tournament, small tournament, but this is it for tennis for the year. So we're shutting it down.
Yes. And then bring on the Aussie Open. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed. I think we'll have it, though. I hope so.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So,
well, first and foremost, again, thank you for hopping on. Where can everybody find you? YouTube, Instagram, Facebook? Like, do you have all those platforms?
I do. Yeah. I've got it all. It's basically Claire Carter Tennis on most of my sites. So Instagram, I'm on the most. The YouTube channel. LinkedIn, Twitter, you can find me on those. I even started TikTok, trying to get down with those kids. But I'm having
I'm looking forward to seeing some
fun.
dances.
Well, no, just tennis. But no, I enjoy the social media stuff, sharing my love and passion for tennis, and I like making people laugh. So I do some trick shots along with tips. So yeah, that's where you can find me.
Awesome. Well, this was great. Thanks again. I look forward to having you back on in the future. Maybe we can discuss the Australian Open should it come to fruition. Fingers crossed. But again, thank you. And I look forward to talking with you soon.
I'd love that. Yeah, we can make it every slam. I'm up for it. This was awesome. Thanks, Chris.
All right. Talk to you soon. Thank you.
All right. Take care.
All right.
Bye.